Mbatandise.
Kale ebintu byokukola bikyamu namubuuza but we practicing lawyer LDC wagikolo otya kyo sikye tudiscussing kati. So you're not committed to your beliefs. Nze ndi committed ku bintu byange era buli gye ngenda kyokulaba nina abantu ndi committed. This week I was telling you when we are discussing issues to do with rape and defilement, we must also discuss them in the context of Uganda, where somebody is going to come and say, Kasumba raped. Rape is very unfortunate, and I have girls who could be raped. But I can also be framed by people who don't like me that I raped a girl. Kati bwe tusalawo nti buli muwala ajjanga akaaba naga nti bandrapies abamutuufu, we are creating a very big problem, because tomorrow they are going to tell another message nti he raped a woman. Ate buli muntu ajja kikkiriza kubanga omukazi yazza akaaba. And a lot of people, men have been framed. Kati naloga no kakati ekyo nakyo kirina challenge kubanga bwe tutatandika okusaba proof, then abasajja bangi nnyo abagenda okurapinga abakazi ate tebaleka proof, they will never be prosecuted, because that's why they talk of a medical report. Nedda tetuyinza kudda ku ya medical report bw'abakyala abamu bwe baba rapinga olw'ensonga ezimu obulala nga banaaba, so the evidence goes, because let's educate them. Kasumba sensitive, because no, I'm telling you, I'm going to be accused of rape when I didn't, and the message was, are you denying that people are using rape as a means to make money and also to seek asylum? Fine, there is rape, certainly. There is torture within security agencies, but we have proof that what I'm safe house from raping. It is also true to over the held in communicado Obama, I got to watch it to wait or they even raped me. I didn't want proof. Ukifuna kubaba kuuliza bangi kati tekyali awuliza nnyo bya tocha naye bw'ogamba rape kikwata attention abantu bangi. So commitment kintu kikulu nnyo mwatusanze naye twavudde wa maye twavudde wa. Where did we start? Oh, we were had twali twogera ku universalism where we were saying that whenever God wants to capture new territory, he does it at the expense of the group that sought to own him. And I argued then, and I still do now, that when you buy a motor vehicle to use as a taxi, the moment the vehicle refuses to leave the park, then you know the vehicle owner no longer needs it. He will take it to the mechanic so that he puts it in a condition that it leaves the park. If the mechanic fails to put it into that condition, the vehicle owner parts company with it, then he finds one that is willing to travel and making money in the business of travel. God uses individuals because his interest is to go places. The challenge is those he uses want to own you, and yet he doesn't want to be owned. He wants to traverse. Hence the song, Jesus shall reign wherever the earth does its successive run. God wants to get everywhere. And I said that the Jews committed that offense when he came to them for purposes of going everywhere and owned him. And I argue that that's the reason he, at their expense, the temple was destroyed. And it had to be. Because theirs was on God. He's ours. And he was saying, I'm not yours. I am for the world. So God planned that he's going to go to Babylon. anyhow. But because they owned him, he made his trip to Babylon very expensive for the Jews. So there is no risky venture, I know, that the business of trying to born God. He will blow you as he goes to his next destination. And he went to Babylon. He went to Babylon because he wanted to show the Babylonians how much bigger than Marduk he is. So he let Marduk win so that he can show that he's bigger than Marduk. You see, if you are a big heavyweight boxing champion, you want to beat the one reigning. If you really want to show you a big heavyweight boxing champion, you wait to beat the man before he fights, or you wait until he has fought and everybody thinks he's big, then you beat him. Yes. So, we are going to the team Yamai, so can only need to one Premier League. The story will be he won the Premier League. I say we get the point. So, when we catch Jeno, Mwana Bewana, Yuda, Madu, Akolechi, Awangule. Baba okuwangula agendere Victoria yaji celebrating Mbatube. Kati Mbatube yini kyomukubira on home turf. That's usually what he reported. But should have had to do wayo. Tokumukubira kwawe uwo. Baba jagamba aya badene home advantage. You do not, the biggest victory is not the one where you have home advantage, especially if you are showing you are beating the visiting team. You go and beat the team on home turf. Because of what Jerusalem was 1-0. Katonda bamba 1-0 ebagenda ba celebrating tumumaze kakati katumuze katubulire. We even have trophies to show we won. We brought the royal class, we also brought the educated. We brought the priest and the royal class. Buli mugezi yena we Babylon tulina yewa era agenda kubeera integrated. Which we also discussed the remnant. Kubanga the remnant are those abatatibalina nnyo magezi bakazi in the Jewish mind, that is the mind of the time. Abakazi, abalema, and some useless people who can't think. Because once you take the priests, you take the thinkers and the aristocrats, the society is destroyed. Because who can think for it? So take them to Babylon. They are the remnant who can govern them. Society now wants to take out the thinkers. It is gone. So they are the remnant. Apart from jubilating about Kusigarao, what did you do with Kusigarao? You can be the remnant as much as you want and celebrate being the remnant. But if your economy is being fed by the diaspora, who is useful? You may be the remnant if it was Uganda, to the man, but a significant percentage of your economy is raised by our sigara. Katimu abasigara umusigara umafuna muki. what is the use of being a remnant if the diaspora feeds your economy? And usually every Passover festival, they came from all over the diaspora, Jews. Nivegata remnant. Here you go to Israel, Jerusalem to discuss. We are the remnant, So what is the use of it? Unattended remnant. Akyusiza theology eripo bakonsuminge because all they are is remnant. So you wait with the conquered. But I'm telling you, interest here, wait with the conquered. There is nobody who tells us that during the time they were remnant here, Yahweh appeared to them. It is no interest. Where was Yahweh? Brother in Babylon. Judah. Maybe we are more interested in anybody about it. So we are obsessed with Protestant theology, not the remnant Catholic Church. These are the remnant. You should be bothered why a man is going after one sheep when you are 99. And I think Mwezi is asking why Mwezi is I was not what you should be discussing what was special about that one sheep? Was it one? It was just any sheep. No, it can't be any sheep. No preacher has ever told us what was special about that one sheep that makes him leave the 99, or the quiet of the 99 that makes him more bothered about the one. You go for it wherever it is and find that one, because that one is responsible for the quality of the entire heart. Yes. Until you find it, you know that this heart is useless, because it's going to regenerate the poor breed. So there is no point. And if you don't have that heart, you will go to your neighbor and just come to me. You are just fattening, because it is in a view. Remnant. So are you somebody that God will leave the 99 for? Go and pick him. Or are you somebody that God is happy to go with you when you are captured? Then he leaves the uncaptured. And of course the uncaptured celebrate that they are the ones who remain, especially if they don't know that the one captured was looking for brilliant. So if a group comes and captures only the royals, the priests and the intelligent, and it takes all of them, and they had methods of proving. In fact, even the captured the family, when they got there, they said, take them to our schools, teach them our things, because we want to integrate them, to help them develop us. Why are you celebrating him for us? So he goes with them, and no sooner has he got with them, Yahweh is coming, he's going to show Babylon who he is. So at every opportunity where Maduk is being celebrated, Yahweh shows up, conquer Maduk. Give them our food. Yeah, you may have Maduk. You don't have a choice when you are captured. But you are captured. But you know we are captured, but we are that one body. But you know you remained there and we destroyed him. You fight him. But these are the king's orders under Maduk's instructions. I'm telling you that you order everybody, but not ourselves. Him we are Yahweh God. Which Yahweh? Oh, the one you will see. The king said he didn't understand him properly. This time round is giving another. He let the king know that even if there are 3,000 chances, as far as they are concerned, and our Yahweh, call him the one who captured. We think he isn't. He might just show up here. Hey, that's so. But if you are being challenged, turn up a fire. Then we sacrifice these ones to Mama. The stage is set. The battle is between Yahweh and Maduk. The stage is the fire. The audience is set. How Maduk finishes these ones off. In fact, to show that this one is not a joke, turn it up 7 times. Fire that was turned up 7 times failed to burn a group that had been captured and their gold destroyed. The Babylonians knew very well what that meant. The Jews didn't, and many people who read Daniel wrote. Yahweh was telling everybody who worshipped Maduk that Maduk has his limitations. And the Babylonians who were watching started asking, but which one is this one that can be captured and not captured? In fact, we put in 3. Why is there a 4th one? The Babylonians are quick to see those things. And Yahweh himself knew why it is important to show up in the fire. Maduk fire. Garabisa Maduk. Gawavimba. The officer, the chief of staff of Maduk said, wait a minute. Weren't they 3? Of course they were. Where is the 4th one? Oh no, you are playing with a different God. It got to the point. It got to the point where Maduk's chief of staff comes to the den in the morning and asks, did your God save him? He had an experience with the possibility that that God operates in Babylon. He had an experience that there is a possibility that the God of this man, even though captured from the temple and his utilities brought to Babylon, he has an ability to operate in Babylon. So let me go and find out. Is it even possible? Daniel, let me know. If you are God, save me. The man was restless. Did he have his God? Who does that? Daniel in the lines did. I feel like preaching. With God you never know. He's here in Babylon showing off. Yeah, that for. Did you find it?
Yeah, 6.
6.
Verse 19, I think.
told you to watch descriptions. The description of the time is important.
The break of the day.
At the break of the day. So the king did not sleep. He was restless. Why is the king so bothered about a captured man? Who has been thrown out by intrigue? Is your employer able to be bothered the night over because your fellow employees are plotting against you? So at the break of the day,
so when he came in haste to the den of lions, when he came near to the den where Daniel was, he cried out in a tone of anguish and said to Daniel, "O Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve, continually been able to deliver you from the lions?"
Who goes to a lion's den expecting a man alive? And if you read that story properly, those lions have been starved. Because lions normally don't eat human flesh. They've been starved deliberately to finish this man. But a king goes to a lion's den expecting a man living. What did he know about that? One, that Daniel continually serves him against what he has been told. These two might even have had an understanding that you do what you want. I know my people, but do what you want. I doubt that the king agreed with his staffers, but he was bound by Medo-Persian laws. I like what you're doing, continue to do it. As much as I can, I will protect it. As long as it's not in contradiction with our Medo-Persian laws, which I can't go around, but where you can do your stuff. So he comes in the morning. I don't know if there were other times when this Marduk chief of staff ever spoke about the man, the Yahweh. So yeah, Daniel answers, doesn't he? Oh yeah, yes. How does he answer?
Then Daniel said to the king, "O king, live forever.
Yes.
My God sent his angel and shut the lion's mouth. They have not hurt me because I was found blameless before him and also before your king." Then the king was exceedingly glad and commanded that Daniel would be taken out of the den. So Daniel was taken out of the den, and no kind of hurt was found upon him because he had trusted in his God.
He had trusted in his God. Now, if there is any doubt whether the lions were hungry, that doubt is removed in this text. What happens next?
The king commanded, and those men who had accused Daniel were brought and cast into the den of lions, they, their children, and their wives. And before they reached the bottom of the den, the lions overpowered them and broke all their bones in pieces.
So the text reminds you that it is not true that the lions were not hungry because they ate somebody else. The truth is, they just didn't eat this one for reasons in the text. So Yahweh continues to wage his inside Babylon, one instead to the next. And by the time he was done, the Babylonians had known the quality of God they had brought upon themselves. In fact, there were people who started to worship him inside Babylon. Inside Babylon. Now, this is why you are in the world, but not of the world becomes important. You are the salt of the earth. You must be in the earth to be the salt of the earth. the salt of the earth is not in the package. It must be in the earth to be the salt of the earth, genetic. You can't be a lecturer of Chambo who doesn't teach. No. The concept of salt of the earth is got to understand that salt must be in whatever it's seasons. And when it is in there, it is not even seen. I don't know who has ever seen the sugar in the juice. You see the juice, you never see the sugar. And you see when the sugar is in the juice, do you call it the juice? No. Even the drinker says, I need to sukari. So because it has disappeared in the juice and completely become invisible, do not call it the juice. It's the sugar of the juice. We've got to mix in the earth that way to be the salt of the earth. To the extent that we might even be labeled one and the same thing as whatever we salt. Even though we are in it, but not all. Alcohol is not small, but when it gets in the blood, it turns the person around. But you can test and find out it's blood in his alcohol. But all you see is the blood, not the alcohol of the blood. I doubt that Daniel's mates understood that he has not become one and Babylon when he was serving in the courts of Nebuchadnezzar, who had destroyed the temple. I doubt that the mates of Daniel, other priests who came with him, were able to understand and believe that Daniel was still one of them when he was busy working in the courts of a man who had destroyed the temple and captured the courts of the temple and drank from them.
Krishna does not recognize him as one of the Vishnu.
Sente zamutwala.
Yatulyamu.
Sente zamutwala. Abaye nekana byakola. Tola Nebuchadnezzar naye akolenga naye. You can hear echoes of if you knew who this woman was. Then you have to remember Nebuchadnezzar naye bakola naye. Mwana ayagala sente. Yogamba kati tumujukize bujukiza mbu Nebuchadnezzar yamenya yeka n'atwala ebikopo ne babinyweramu n'omwenge gwa n'embiziza. Bwakolera Mukama. Yatuyitira ddala basi. Nebuchadnezzar bakola naye. Yes. Nawe basi si akuzaala. Tabanga yayenda mwende. Nga kitaawe si Muyudaaya. They must have doubted Daniel's allegiance. But Yahweh had given Daniel a very specific mission.
The kind of God I've never met.
And he had Daniel to understand that there will be a lot of ridicule that comes with it, but the mission is specific. There are things that God will ask you to do, and it does not matter who misunderstands you. The mission is bigger than being understood, especially by people who may not even understand you. Just stay on a mission. Whether you are Zacchaeus and other tax collectors with misunderstanding, it's okay. Stay on mission. Be so focused, it's okay to be misunderstood. You see, sometimes we spend so much time trying to be understood by people who may never understand us anyway. Stay on mission. I mean, when he was here, he was also misunderstood. So he understands. He came to his own, but his own received him not. But those who did, he gave them the right to become children of God, and children of God we are. So I give up explaining myself to people who don't know my God and his modus operandi, or how he functions, depending on different contexts. And as the world changes, how he works changes, and who he works with changes, first with those who understand how he maneuvers contexts to universalize, especially where he has been owned. Catholics only mean created the Reformation, but moved on with the Luthers. I don't know why there's always an obsession with owning Yahweh. God is bigger than who we are. Heaven is not ours, it's his. He will take whoever he wants, especially now that we know that it is based on whoever believes. Which particular fellowship or understanding of him you subscribe to. I now not call them denominations, I call them different methods and ways of understanding Yahweh. But I prefer my understanding knowing that my understanding is empty. If he gets up one day and he says he's going to work with Mama Fina, you have no ability to stop him. Even if he was worked with Marduk, who is Mama Fina? Is Mama Fina worse than Marduk? Or what is it that Mama Fina does Marduk never did? But for his own reasons, he worked with Marduk. You again, your Mama Fina, you do. See how we are dealing with. I want to deconstruct your understanding of Yahweh, then reconstruct it from this image of God to a limitless image of God, who has everything at his disposal when he wants to fulfill his purposes. He can do anything and everything and use anyone and everyone. He can. These stories tell us, among other things, that Yahweh will do anything to get his way. I've said it before, that it is expensive for the uncircumcised to be in the temple. Listen to the Shekinah. This is the uncircumcised. Yahweh of all should have known better that some priests died for faltering on a small bit while in the Shekinah, never far. And their children and relatives were around who saw that happen. You're going to feel for a boy whose dad died because he forgot one of the small ceremonies. Now that boy watches an uncircumcised Babylonian with his sandals in the Shekinah, walking out alive. They must have said, these guys are joking. They have come to the temple, well, they've beaten us everywhere. They are heading to the Shekinah.
Walking out alive.
You know the implication. It's just like thieves who enter your house and they sit at the table where you had finished eating and had left rat poison. You must be in the bedroom with saying, Bazotoba, which we just connecting up to get what I just got.
And priests are dying here.
Hey, madam, whatever you promise. Then they eat, finish the whole meal, and carry the flat screen and everything. What the question is, you begin to ask yourself, and yet is about where home was.
Okay, I just take
We're
a
not
back.
going to take a moment about that.
Okay, I back.
Remember which you sang a message of. Is that the same? Let's go. What kind of things are these? They have an antidote. Don't judge your brother. Don't have an antidote. It is the God we worship. Tell me about me. Kutwala kuti tunalya basose kusaba. Basose kusaba. Would you want that God? Even if he's the God of the thief. Katonda asobola okutaasa ababbi ku mutwa oba omwetaaga. Absolutely. Especially ng'okimanyi nti oli mu Uganda basobola okuwa omutwa. So kano sawalira Francis n'ogamba ati ya Francis nsobola tegereke Katonda wamwe.
One angle says,
The Babylonians entered the China. And two, not only entered and left. Bagenda n'ebintu byonna ebyali representing yawe. Ne bagenda bayimba ennyimba z'amaduuku all the way to Babylon. When we were in theology class, that's where we say theology in a crisis. The Jews were asking where Yahweh is. Yahweh and the Wanga Mutwala. Tinabadde onagende. Era ku stage etukati. Ewa mwena kuyiika ngenda kwa Babylon. Now I will come back where I might not have been in us.
The prophets actually called Nebuchadnezzar my servant of Yahweh.
He is.
An declaration.
But can you do servant of Yahweh? This is the only way you can accommodate the man.
I am with Nebuchadnezzar my servant.
Yes.
And I have come. But he has been here. Where have you come from?
Yahweh, where are you? Then he showed up. So I have learned to avoid putting myself in a situation where Yahweh must obliterate my ego for him to go elsewhere. Kamugabane, if for no other reason, for self-preservation. Going back to where I came, Bobanga, okolera musajja agala kola setting of taxi. The best thing you can do is to keep yourself alive, is to continue failing passengers. Kwa mutandika okubeera nga mu kiseera omugalaji, you are going. Olemera mu park, you are going.
Don't be a gentleman of those.
Taxi teyamanya kyezanyiramu. So in building your relationship with God, if you still want that relationship, spread him.
Don't own him.
Don't own him. Muwe byayagala. God is not bothered waje omutwala. Gwe mwejeeko wagende gyayagala okugenda. Bw'abayagala kukola n'abasamuze bagende, bw'abayagala kukola ne bamalaaya agende, gwe mutwale yonna. Tanda kugamba gwe mutwale mu loogi, mutwale yonna gy'omutwala mutwala agende you handle.
Amen.
Tomutaasa.
Katonda egyo kutwala naawe ojja kusobolayo. Kewa mkazi.
Twala
mukala utamirira hiyo.
Wewe kama tutamira.
Kenda na ala tonyo.
Nocha mumire.
Abantu kakusanga bamukazi.
Really? Serious? Museka nimba this.
Very serious thing.
Sasa na kanisa kusubmit.
Musana hizo kuta. I am telling you, the prophets declared. What is happening here? Yahweh is with Nebuchadnezzar and Cyrus is his servant.
Kiziriki prophets, they are learned their lesson. And good yali abagambi kyali kimusa. Yeremiya. Aga musajja agenda yawa agenda kujja wano n'Abababiloni.
Ne bakola emisinde mpaka
Mugambye ki? Yawa ajja ki? Gwe gupu gy'osobola okugamba nti yawa ajja wano n'Abakatuliki.
Ne bakutta musi. Atwagigamba. Twagigamba nti Saturday ninga Sunday. Ne bagamba bano tetujabakiriza ku bicuuti bya.
Yawa ajja naki n'Abakatuliki. Yeremiya agamba nti he is bringing the Babylonians.
Him.
Destination temple. Destination
Temple. He's taking everything.
What will he do in the temple? There will be nothing. He will be left in ruins.
Hey.
Naganda ye. Mu temple mutulamu. First of all, you are saying Yahweh is coming. Yahweh atulamu. Kasi Yahweh ajja avaawo. Yahweh atulamu mu temple. Kati Yahweh kati which Yahweh is coming, which one is in the temple?
Awo yavaawo dda bannange. Ne bagamba oyo omwana.
Mumuwempekeze.
Bamuyisa mu linnya lya Mese mpaka Misiri yasibye.
Naye basooka kumuteeka mu mpiiti. N'awolawo nti mwali
n'atoloka.
Abali abakolera site tebaga ffe tutuddeyo nayo nasebuka. Mirembe myerere yaweza happy with your services. Ne bamusabira.
That was Josiah.
Ne bamusabira. What we see on the horizon is peace. First of all, omuweereza bulungi. Bakabaka babadde wano naye tewali yakutuuse. Kuba kakati buli muntu n'asaba kati.
Osubmit tebalwana.
Did that stop them? The Babylonians from coming?
No, they came.
He came. The Babylonians are returned. And there will be tears. Because Yahweh must spread. Somehow he will. Yeah, I want to view Yahweh in Babylon.
You want to view where
If I'm
he
not
is. Where he is, wherever he is.
Wanganti katugenda mu bbaala nti gwe we are now going to a brothel, yes. Kasumba yabadde akola ki? That is not my problem. Let me repeat that statement. What I was doing in a brothel is not my problem. It is yours.
I was there.
That's your problem. I have told you wherever you want. Here I am. May I not choose the destinations Yahweh does. Yahweh assignment is as Isaiah cutting wing. Mr. There are two available positions. You are either going with Yahweh or you are the categorization. I don't want to be the rebel. I'd rather go to captivity.
You see, the Lebanon sounds sweet in English, but in Uganda it's horrible.
obuuza abasigalawo nga watabe ne bwe tuweebwa bwe tuti ebijanjalebo ebisigalawo
ki ekisigala?
ani agala ebisigaddewo? Even after examinations mu kibiina mubaamu ba remnant. There's no class that doesn't have remnants.
Yes.
When you were failures, remnants, Abu,
Abu is the chaff, which is like
not the remnants.
no, the remnant is this one, the stones.
With the stones.
The stones.
But are they edible?
No.
None of this.
Because the whole reason of chaffing is to keep the remnant and take the ones to be eaten. Yeah. The ones to be eaten are not the remnant because they are we are sieving to eat and then keep the remnant for throwing.
I want to read them that passage in this verse. 2 Kings 24. 2 Kings 24 from verse 14. He carried away all Jerusalem and all princes and all the mighty men of valor, 10,000 captives, and all the craftsmen and the smiths. None remained except the poorest people of the land. He carried, this is Nebuchadnezzar, okay? And Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to the city while his servants were besieging it. And Joachim, the king of Judah, gave himself up to the king of Babylon, himself and his mother, and his servants, and his princes, and his palace officials. The king of Babylon took him prisoner in the 8th year of his reign, and carried off all the treasures of the house of the Lord. And the treasures
Inside the Shekinah, there was nothing that fell into the category treasure. You know what treasure is? Anything of value, they took, leaving behind valueless.
and the treasures
Omubi naye bwajja wabaawo remnant. Ebijiiko, ebiki. And bw'oba oyagala okumanya what they took, and that the rest was remnant, you ask Mayigo bwe babbi. Kibaire kyo batwekedde. So between the thief ne gwabbi babeerako on one thing. All the treasures are gone. Era oyagala kumanya ebintu ebitali valuable mu nnyumba ya muntu nina nga bamubbi.
ennyumba ebamu ennyumba bagizi.
N'abakyala basigalawo.
Bageze.
Omuntu agenda kutandikira.
Omuntu agenda kutandikira.
Naye ng'atambula wasama ebbafu zegagonga.
Ate agakolota naawe. Oba taseja. Akasija tekali mu treasure.
Akola n'essaati ng'agenda ku poliisi.
Baatutte flat screen. Ne batwala essimu. Ne batwala laptop. Ne batwala sente. Bageze.
Ensigaza. Peter jangu olabe kye bakoze. And carried off all the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of in the temple, and the treasures of the king, and cut in pieces all the vessels of gold in the temple of the Lord.
Whatever they couldn't carry, they destroyed. Why? Because you must not be left behind. Mubeeko kye mubekolera.
Basmiths babatutte.
Abisigadde muyizo bino bye tuteetaaga ffe ga Babilooni. We might not need them, but we must make sure namwe temubikozesa. So destroy the society.
Complete.
Complete. Destroyed the rest.
And cut in pieces all the vessels of gold in the temple of the Lord, which Solomon, king of Israel, had made, as the Lord had foretold.
He had told.
He carried away all Jerusalem and all the princes and all the mighty men of valor.
He carried away all
Jerusalem.
So now, whatever meant Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you never got it.
He carried away all Jerusalem.
They are not included in all. You never get to allow. Kati mwabasigala, you are told. Jerusalem tekyaliwo.
No, you were the remnant.
But the remnant, Jerusalem budget.
He carried away all Jerusalem because
Buganda yonna bagitwala kati mwabasigala mwe mumanyi wati.
Thank you, Samson. Waliwo abantu abakola Buganda. So si buli ali mu Buganda mwakola Buganda. He carried away all Jerusalem.
This in humility. In humility. My boss has named me the face of enemies for the last 2 years.
Interesting.
But the other people, there, Natina Basanga, 10, 12 years ago. And there are places where I go, I need to see about the he did Kasumba to whose face can you call him his face?
He carried
What
away.
is telling you? Everything that means Jerusalem,
He carried away.
he carried. Whatever remains does not mean Jerusalem. It can remain.
And in case you want to understand,
Because what they were interested in Jerusalem, what is it that
He's qualifying.
he qualifies it and says,
that is going to qualify it?
he carried away all Jerusalem.
Kati abasigala tebalina mugaso. They can as well stay. They are not even good enough for destruction.
And this is Jerusalem.
Because they were unattended. Kubanga wali kyasoso okulaba is that bwe kiba nga tukitwala nga tukyetaaga kidestroying kubanga kiyinza okubayamba to put up the pieces together. So if it is not even good to take or to destroy, it is useless.
Musumba, tebasigala kubanga musooka tebaaliwo.
Kuwulira aha nyinyo kubanga tebalina kakkalu nyinyo soma. So
This is all Jerusalem. All the princes, all the mighty men of valor, 10,000 captives, and all the craftsmen and the smiths. None
abayimba
remained.
bonna kwabo bonna classes, none remained. They left people behind.
None remained.
They did not leave anybody useful.
Let the Samson kyagamba. Toyinza gamba none ate n'ogamba except. Do you understand?
They took everyone.
They
took all.
Naye naleta kugamba mu none but except. Kati except tebalina kakwati ne bano.
Tubetagala kwogera ku
Tosaka ntikwe tebagikuyiwasira n'omunyeera.
kyekuganja omusajja musigalawo batubye ne basigalawo musajja.
Omuntu bw'abayigira ennyumba ebankalu naye bw'ofumubaako byoleka naye buza byajjamu biti.
They are even evaluated.
This
Najja okuyigira ennyumba naye ayirabye eri.
naye alifulumye.
Ono yalegamu kasasi.
Naye nga zaaliko ssente.
The remnants after she.
Zaaliko ssente zogera mu dduuka n'osasula.
The remnants. At that point, they were not remnant.
Abalina twabazingana mu busuku obweru nga babazadde.
Ne mudduka mugenda okugula mubamu remnant. Mugitadde disito.
Babazinga nabawona olwana.
Waliwo akagambo bakayita ffenna tuli bano.
Nze mumuzinkola. Ffenna tuli bakozi. I'm the face of the bride.
Bawonyaawo.
Kati buli
tugenda okuddamu okukola.
Ngamba tukire ku lunyiriro olwa 17. Very interesting. Except the poorest people of the land. And he carried away Jehoiakim to Babylon, the king's mother, the king's wives, his officials, and the chief men of the land. He took into captivity from Jerusalem to Babylon. And the king of Babylon brought captive to Babylon all the men of valor, 7,000, and craftsmen and smiths, 1,000, all of them strong and fit for war. And the king of Babylon made Mattaniah, Jehoiakim's uncle, king in his stead, and changed his name to Zedekiah.
Eri bwe yagenda yamuwa mulimu gwafuga. When Daniel was taken, he was not taken and put to waste. They were put in schools and to be told for service. When God takes you to captivity, he does not take you there for wastage. Because that category is never put to waste. Even where it is taken there to dominate those it finds.
Because it was chosen intentionally.
But those they find vigorous. Certainly.
And of course there are the evidence of the place of captivity.
Muri wano you are Babylonians, yes, naye temutugasa kati kabagida naye ate awo bayida ya Babylonians gavana assimilation policy fize muyindiisa njira lukiiko.
How was his functionality?
Kuba kabaka amumanyi nti yakikuyamba bano abantu bakiryowa ne basse bambulidde
Nabo bamakanzu.
nga yajobayamba
Taata babapita bakalyamu.
So ask God to help you not to be a remnant. This God we depend. Ask him that, Lord, I don't want to be a remnant.
Help me, God.
I want to be a captive, being taken to Babylon,
And change it.
to change Babylon. When I get to Babylon, my fellow captives may not understand. When they were captive, mwalimu abasatu ne Daniel.
Ne Samson.
Era mulimu bano.
Owalanze nnyo. Omwalimu abasatu.
Ne Daniel. Era owulira mu bana abaana baga Daniel and his friends.
Akikolinga mubuuliza.
Daniel and but I will still these of what Daniel is. I may not be Daniel, but I would like to be his friends. Wow, where are his friends? They are not other captives, but wow, they are a bit tough. But God just changed Babylon. Oh, it is good to go with God as he changes Babylon. Waliwo abali awo oba anabasigale nebawoze atutte ebikopo nindola kyagenda okukola mu Babylon.
Ababiza.
Ewedde you will never hear of Babylon again, but will you hear of Jerusalem again? You may be obsessed with what will happen to Babylon. Are you sure? Uba agenze Babylon kakati Babylon abo bagenda kufuuka baana. Father in heaven, Thank you that you always teach us truths that will change how we approach the world. The thing about biblical truth is, besides being an inspiration for us to understand how we work, they also let us in on principles that will help us in what we do, whether it's business or teaching or anything. Today we want to pray that you make us captives as you go to change Babylon. And that Babylon may either be the church or it may be the corporate world. Give us a sense to understand how you work and take us into this week with you as you go on to your revolutionary missions. Wherever you go, we want to go. So send I, we want to say Yahweh. In your name.